the desk got wheels today, and some people wonder why they're on the top. But it's because we didn't have time to put them on the bottom. But next week they'll be on the bottom. Promise. What's next week? Do we know? Are we allowed to say?
Film?
We think it's history of the films of Soho next week. Blaze is nodding. But as you know, things sometimes change here at All Is Joy. Okay, everyone's got a drink. We're waiting for the little...
We're good. About the next week, we're going to be updating on the WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah. It's a good way to stay in touch, WhatsApp group.
And the week after that should be part 2 of Chinatown.
And the week after that, if those who didn't hear, Chinatown are coming back. Because do you remember we got really busy with them and we said we could make a second show out of this? So they're coming back. Brilliant. Well, let's go. So welcome back to All Is Joy Presents with the Museum of Soho. My co-host Tony. It's just me and Tony tonight. No Dan, although his name sneaked on the header. Dan has taken a week off. Good evening, Tony. We've lined up a brilliant guest. You've lined up a brilliant guest for tonight. Here is Leon Parker.
Leon Parker from the British Record Shop Archive, who we've collaborated with in the past and had some really successful exhibition.
And it was Record Store Day this week. It's on Saturday.
Yeah, which I missed. But you caught the tail end of it.
I wouldn't say I flew back from my holiday especially for it, but I did land in the UK, and town was really busy, and there were a lot of people carrying bags. How was yours, Leon?
I don't do Record Store Day.
Okay. You take a break.
I'm more interested in archiving history.
Okay.
I think also what we found is, it reached a peak a few years back where you had the support of Westminster Council and Shaftesbury, who were the developers at the time. We put a lot of money into it, and it was a brilliant event full of lots of goodwill, nice vibe in the area. It brought a lot of people in, but the thing was Westminster Council were getting upset because of health and safety, because we had so many different building sites going on. So they scaled it right down. So all the record shops still do something for Record Store Day, but it's not on the scale that it was a few years ago. I think we've got our first...
So let's do some images, because we're all about images here on this podcast.
You and Eric spoke.
Oh, yeah.
BBC.
So sound guy, Eric, who is a musician, good evening, Eric, and myself, who is an artist and explorer, we featured in this at the end of the year because this big shop, HMB, reopened in town, didn't it?
Months ago.
On Oxford Street.
Another one.
And they did a big article about it. So if you want to read that in your own time, it's on the BBC. You have to just read that. But that was all about... Oh, yeah, here we go. There's another. So Eric and I got interviewed here in this very room, and about the sort of the change in landscape of the stores. We've got that brilliant map. Is that the next image?
Yeah, so you mentioned that the BBC were interested in recommissioning it, because we've actually found more record stores since we made that.
Yeah.
We can go to the next...
They've asked us to redo the map, which we haven't done yet, but this is it. This is your original map. So Museum of Soho produced this with the Shaftesbury and with Leon.
I'd like to interrupt here. I actually spent hours trying to get this right. And believe you me, for a simple thing, it really wasn't that easy to do. And I did leave a couple off.
Yeah.
By this, I haven't said there's more for that, but since then, shops will need to be added to that.
It's an amazing statistic. So it's 50 years of the records. For those that can't read the bottom, guess how many record stores in those 50 years in Soho? No one's going to guess. 171.
Yeah.
171.
And if the ones that are missing,
and then you got to add the
180 probably.
We're going on towards almost 200 records. Yeah. So in our quarter square mile, which for those that don't know, Soho defined by Oxford Street, Charing Cross, Regent Street, and Coventry Street, which is now Leicester Square.
It was a little cheeky because I did
overlap.
Yeah,
overlap because you included shops that were like a stone's throw. So if you were a record shop buyer, you would come to Soho, but you know what? I can go to Covent Garden. I can go to the other side of Oxford Street to, I can't remember the name of that small street there where. I can go there. So it wasn't strictly in Soho, but it was close enough,
Yeah.
you know.
But 171's phenomenal amount for that period, and they opened, they closed, and now, according to the research from Jess, who was the journalist, there's 7 left in that. So it's 171 down to 7.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget they weren't all here at the same time.
I mean,
We had it on Dean Street. We had an HMB.
Yeah. It reflects actually what the statistic is today on record shops. So there's about 300 in the whole country. When on my website at the moment, you now have 4,500 listed shops, and that's not all of them. That's because some of them were branches. Sorry, some of them were chains. So I didn't list all the chain shops. You know, some of them I have, some I haven't. So it's
much more England based.
Yeah. But it shows what kind of life this would have supported in the industry of publishers, printers, hand delivery people, promoters, A&R, the whole works. I mean, you know, in terms of what kind of business it was back then, you know, it supported a larger sort of industry.
And the big thing the article said as well is about vinyl being on the rise, ranking.
I'm not that convinced. I'm skeptical about that because basically, in terms of what the business was and what the media keeps on promoting each year that vinyl's on the rise, it's still a drop in the ocean to what it was.
And
prices are good. Prices have gone back to what they were in the 1960s. You know, it was like a week's wage for some people to buy an LP. Or a day's wages would be today, perhaps, for some people. So, you know, in that respect, it's kind of gone back to those days. But one thing that has always remained the same is that a lot of shops, not so much the ones in Soho, but there's a couple in Notting Hill, they rely on mail order, which will be internet order now. But back in the day, a lot of the specialist shops here, like Dobell's and shops like that here in Soho, would have relied on mail order, not just selling to people passing in the street, not just selling. They had mail order. I mean, they were shipping stuff to America, which is kind of ironic. There's a shop that had specialist blues records, and people like Can Pete were buying the records from London, you know. So,
and we might remind you, what kind of questions do you have? Stick hand up if you want to ask.
I should also just say there's also a little QR code corner of the poster, which does take you to a Google map of it as well. So it's on Google. We're going to all makes me want to keep paying my TV license.
It's a great.
I mean, there are.
I used it for.
Yeah.
And so, and I found this for my map.
Did I can't remember, Tony, on the Google map, did I use the images from the bags in the shops? I can't remember. So I did it. Yeah, so that was the other thing to do. I was thinking, do I add little records or do I add images? So there's things to develop and play with it, basically.
Yeah. Got a question?
Actually, just for vinyl, I think vinyl is really like on the comeback, actually, because you've got like big artists, commercial artists like Ariana Grande and stuff. I saw Instagram the other day. She was releasing a new album, and it was on vinyl, and she like doing a video going around the vinyl shop and like getting an album and vinyl. So it's kind of like showing that it's kind of in speeding. I didn't know it, but for the personal point of view, I actually I'm a singer and a musician, and I used to work at this label called Pure Lock Film Records, North London Records. But Darry's house that after like they engaged building, and they had a really cool vinyl stuff called Stuart Record, and I just remember going there and like recording in the old studio in England, writing like garage and house rap, and like how big and thin. Oh my God, like mine was like, I remember going up in like back in the day, like beer and it acid and work continent. You know, it's Soho as well, like certain bar like that where they like Harry like big huge we play so like
but when they go back to the 18 shops appeared, so you're looking at 1890s, 1880s. Yeah. I think, but no, not really. But that is
very DJ. Well, but it just seems a bit of a
Well, that was the last heyday of vinyl shop. Would have been the 90s when the DJ thing was really in force, and that's when the last explosion of record shops happened. Then from then on in, they all went downhill, basically. So,
the other thing
the heyday period would have been the 50s, the late 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And then the 90s, and then that's when it all turned up.
When I was a little boy growing up, that was one of the first albums of all Kylie Minogue album on records, by the way.
I mean, Salt and Stevens, they stuff, they finally, they.
I mean, it seems, I think, so there's two sides to this. A lot of people talking about it, but you think the actual statistics don't necessarily add up. But we should talk, I want to we put something out on, it's not an image, but the Sue story, because this is a really interesting, should we move to that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the next image you've got is one of my angles to date and feature would be, we'll start with this and then we can go to the Sue story.
Okay, yeah, this is,
I was looking at...
hopefully all our Soho fans here know where this is.
Yeah. I was thinking about what could be the angle this time, because one year we did an exhibition on Record Day, and the angle was about David Bowie, basically, and he's come here and buy records a lot, and he used to go to Dobell's. But the other one I was thinking of photographs of record shops on album sleeves.
Okay, yeah.
And there's only 3 that I know of, and this is one of them, which is Select a Disc, which was obviously, the group and the album. And apparently... Noel Gallagher was interviewed a few years ago, and he wasn't too happy or pleased about this cover, and he felt more should have been done about it. But actually, it's become an iconic cover, so I don't think
he wasn't pleased at the time, but it became it's one of those like redemption.
So Select a Disc now.
What are the other two?
Well, they were
Sister Ray,
and then they moved across the road.
So
what are the other 2 records that feature records?
The other one is, if you want to go quickly to the next slide, and I can do it quickly. It's Nazia, and I can't remember her surname, but she was pictured outside HMV, and the guy who produces, a guy called Bidoo, who did a lot of production in the 70s, not just Indian artists, but did a lot of pop stuff. Well, I can't remember it on the top of my head. Unfortunately, she died at a young age of 30 of cancer, but it's the only other thing I could find, and I tried to contact someone who, actually Mr. Bidoo himself, but he hasn't got back to me, so I can't tell you any more on it. But there is a very popular underground scene in the whole of the country about Bollywood music and Indian stuff from the 70s anyway. So
this is 70...
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
not
one...
like Erykah Badu.
No. It was a producer. He actually did some hit songs as well. It was a bit like a Barry White of the Indian world, basically. So the one that really gets my interest is this one from the Sue story, which on the album cover here you can see briefly here if you can, but there's a picture here of a gentleman with a briefcase staring in the window and looking at all these marvelous album sleeves. There's R&B compilation there, there's Motown stuff, there's all sorts of stuff. Everything in there I probably either had myself or would want to have.
Right.
And for years I couldn't figure out what shop was it, and I figured it out. It was Alex Strickland's Soho Records recently, but only by the mosaic underneath the shop.
Yeah.
So what that then brings you, it's a bit like all the research I've been doing. It ties into a story and a jigsaw puzzle. So basically, you have the Sue story was compiled by Guy Stevens. He used to work with Chris Blackwell of Island Records, and they did this. But he left just after this compilation. But he was also noted himself going to record shops or market stalls. So I have 2 references which I found on my website. One was from the Tatler in 1966. This is 66 on my eyes are not so good up. Yeah, 66. And this was found for me by a guy who does newspaper research on my website, so I must give a shout out to Dave Harwood, sorry. And basically it talks about that there's Lee's market stall in Cambridge Circus. So he went there along with other people to buy, imported jazz and blues and soul. And then the other reference to this stall is in a book called The Sharper World by Paolo Hewitt, and he also references it. So the work I'm doing is kind of piecing together these sort of references and putting them into one place. And then recently, the Ace Records, they produced a CD, which would have been, well, they said it could have been the volume 4 that Guy Stevens would have done, but didn't do because he left.
Right.
He's dead since, but they did this recently, and they used the same photograph that's on the front of that album cover.
Amazing.
So that was, this is what this kind of stuff, when you do this sort of thing, when it throws up, you can get all these links in, but obviously you need people to send you stuff, but, or I need to do some research and look in a book and do whatever. And I then pass stuff on to Tony as well, which we work together.
You've shared loads of things over the years, and Tony built the archive.
Yeah, and Leon has kindly donated the West End side
Some new things today as well.
of Leon's archive to us, which we hope we'll be putting on display
Here
in here.
in the building. Okay, well that's
So Tony's side is that Tony knows more a bit about the photo shoot regarding the Morning Glory album than I do. So he's like, because
I'm
and so.
basic.
a bit about that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I didn't realise it was designed by a guy from Hypnosis, who some of you might know design covers for like Pink Floyd and Yes and other prog rock bands. But they, as they say, and on that cover,
Do you want to go back to that one then? There's one slide back.
Yeah.
So there's DJ Sean Rowley in it.
Right.
There's Brian Cannon, who was the sleeve designer. And then the guy on the left is the producer of the album, producer Owen Morris. Apparently he's carrying the tape of the album. Yeah. So those people do mean something. They're not random. That's all I've got on that.
That's always
But he wasn't happy. Noel Gallagher wasn't that happy.
But he's become happy now.
Well, see, I think it's simple photograph, and it does the job, and most people recognize it instantly.
We don't. And Reckless will be down there.
Yeah.
As well. Let's not forget Reckless Records.
And further that way, was it that way? Yeah, I think so. Would have been back on the Tape Exchange. It would have been
They were for a little while, weren't they?
Yeah, down Berry Street. Yeah.
And does anyone remember Mr. CD
Yeah, Mr. Single.
on the right hand side here?
CD, anyone?
Do I just to give my friend a shout out? Because I have a friend who used to work at Rough Trade, and she worked at Rough Trade. I went to the vein, and then I found their bucket. She really made me the test for that point. But I love that Bollywood back at Calvin Cuddy. You tell that like I love Bollywood here, and I think Bollywood back you to tell them point out you can get that. Okay, what's the story? Morning Glory. I personally can do it. Morning Glory. Most days of the week. Say, props to you. Like written up and look.
Thank you. We've had a few mentions of Leon's website, so I was going to say it's important we get that out. What's your website? The way you keep all these archives?
Well, you can just Google British Record Shop Archive, and it'll pop up. Even if you just Google record shop, it gets in the top. So it's kind of handy.
Yeah.
I'd also like to, shout out to the guys who hook the site.
You mentioned the journalist or the newspaper that gets the newspaper articles together.
Oh no, that's a guy who does research. I got two people who at the moment who send me lots of stuff and have kindly helped me out. And he's one of them. He does the sort of newspaper search for me. And I need to do more trips to the British Library. It's another place that will reveal a lot more stuff. That tons of stuff to get.
Should point out also that it's nationwide. It's not doesn't just focus on London. Yeah, it's actually quite a.
And it doesn't it's not just about record shops, but anywhere that sold records. So there's like a kiosk in Blackpool that sold Northern Soul singles and stuff. It gets in there.
Little stalls. We had it. Seeds.
You mentioned that one of our audience mentioned about someone in rough trade who had a real passion, and that idea of staff who have a real passion. So there's quite a few famous people worked in record stores.
For Elton John.
Yeah. You had
Bowie worked in a record store.
Elton John.
Musicland. Elton John's, in Berry Street.
We'll have a picture of that later on.
It's not just also the stories that I found and got with famous people working there, but people like Michael Caine would go there.
Yeah.
And so you'd get celebs of the day going to record shops and buying stuff. And then I had one where what's the shop? Basically, this guy sent a thing to me saying that it became Our Price Records. Before that was Harlequin. It used to be down near on Shaftesbury Avenue, not far from there. And this guy went to the shop one day, walking up to the shop, and this guy opened the door and held it open for him. And he didn't realise until after he just got in, it was Jimi Hendrix. And so Jimi Hendrix had been very polite, Kirky, George, and then, oh my God. So it's those kind of stories as well that, you get the interaction with those sort of people. You don't probably get that anymore. Get some, but get what's not.
But the fact that there is only those 7 in Soho, I think there is that specialism that the ones that have survived that have kind of made. And the other thing I noticed on Saturday, they're all selling other.
Well, the special releases for the day, yeah.
Well, there's that, but parking like records, so they do other thing. I'm going to use that word, etheria.
What ephemeral,
yeah.
Like ephemera,
like bits, right?
Yeah.
Also, some of them have clothes shops as well. Sister Red has clothes downstairs, vintage clothes, T-shirts, and that link to the music
merch.
Yeah,
merch basically, which is another part.
Well, you mentioned in Rough Trade. Rough Trade did have a shop in Neal's Yard. Would have been
the nearest to us here,
and they had was it Slam City or Skate Slam City shop, which was clothing and skateboard stuff mixed together. Which is a shame they got rid of that because they all moved to the East End. But so there was that crossover. But there's always been a crossover. If you go back to all the stuff pre-war and after the war, records were sold as washing machines and radios and bicycles,
like Imhoffs. Will come to later as well.
Yeah.
And also they done this pre-internet and everything. These were the places where you learned where all the clubs were. What the latest bands, who the latest bands were, who was playing. These were the places that you went to, and to meet like-minded people. Yeah, they could be intimidating, couldn't they? A bit. Some of the staff.
Yes, you curse some characters, and they could be rude, intimidating. But it's a bit like shop work. If you work in certain areas all day long, you have to deal with certain people all day long. You become, what's the word? Hard,
robust.
Yeah, robust.
I know we've got loads of images tonight. Let's go. So I'm conscious we should do some imagery. Imagery. Here we go. We've had that one.
Oh, there's Dough Bells.
Dough Bells.
So that Dough Bells, yeah.
Jazz.
That exhibition was probably the one that I really was keen on getting done, and I managed to get it done, and actually got some artifacts from the old shop and did it at Chelsea Space. And so it got good investment, and it got really good. And Tony came.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really good exhibition in terms of it had everything. Yeah.
And it got a lot of nice critical playing.
But Dough Bells was good because it had all the iconic and great graphics. I mean, that's what drew me to the graphic on the record shop bag I was picking up over time. That's what drew me to this idea when record shop started to slide. I kind of thought, you know what, there's a whole thing here that can be.
Well, jazz always gets a big shout out in Soho because we've got such a.
Dough Bells, they use the word iconic, but quite a lot now these days. But that really was, 77 Charing Cross Road, which the family had it. It started off as a bookshop, in 1877,
something like that. I can't remember. But I mean,
great grandfather.
The other day, I actually found a 78 sleeve listed as Arthur Dobell as selling a record 78s when it actually was Doug Dobell, but it was when it was just a bookshop and he had a couple of boxes of 78s. So finding that
just
amazing.
For those that are new to vinyl, this is the 12-inch.
That's the 12-inch, yeah.
And there's a small, the single album would generally be on that. The smaller one, the 7-inch.
Yeah.
But the 78s are the predate, and they're from like gramophone days.
Yeah. So you'd have 10-inch mini LPs, but they're 10-inch and 78s. The 78s could also be 12-inch, but they were classical one particularly because they could only hold a certain amount of time and track. So the 12-inch 78s were produced as well. Yeah.
So if I said Blind Boy Grunt to you,
Bob Dylan. So he recorded in
the basement, Dough Bells, back in '63.
Yeah, he could.
So they were more than jazz, but they had that in there.
They're folk, jazz folk.
There,
everybody you can think of today, like Eric Clapton, Peter Green or whatever, David Bowie, all the American jazz people. Everybody was sort of congregating in that shop, or went through it, or went to it, to either learn, listen, or hang about.
Let's do some more sliding.
I think that was part. Yeah, this is part of our hoardings, actually, wasn't it? So,
Oh, yeah. So, quick fact about Soho, we've got more plaques than anywhere else in the UK. There's one that says Keith Moon worked there.
no, it's so these plaques,
Performed there.
these were made for the cross, when Soho Square was closed off. So we were the only ones to get hoardings along the whole of the square. So we produced this. So,
I think it was the first thing that me and Tony collaborated on, actually. Cool.
And there's a story there. Some will remember that fondly. What else? We've got Carnaby Street. Any record shops down there now?
No, not Carnaby Street. I don't think there actually ever was. There was there was a later one.
You have to go back on that.
The listening booth.
So you find all these things on the museum website.
Yeah.
The Museum Soho. Let's look at the next one. There's Dobell's again. Okay.
well, this is so you mentioned Alex Strickland earlier on.
Yeah.
So this is an advert for.
We have the largest EP and LP selection of records in Soho, specialising in continental recording.
So that shop would have been the corner office that diagonally opposite Joe and the Juice now, yeah?
So
it's an empty pastry shop at the moment, yeah?
it was a pastry shop till really recently, and then it's emptied out as they do.
So that was his shop. So he's, a bit about Alex Strickland, yeah? He was, he started off with one shop in 1960, and then I think by 60, where we got 65, he had 15, and this one in Soho being one of them. And he's a great self-publicist, yeah?
He was basically in the sort of same school of people like Don Arden, who demanded that he was a promoter, an entrepreneur. He fought Sonny Davis Jr. here to do the first concert in the country. And he was great at sort of finding people and getting people who were stars, well-known, Bob Dylan, etc., to come and pose and do things at his shop. So he took advantage of that situation. But doesn't matter who you were. If you were a star and you turned up late, he would have a go at you.
This is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Record your own, so you could go in and record.
Yeah.
For $5 shilling. Guess do you add their own recording booth?
So there it is.
And again, coming back to graphics, you said you pick up on the graphics. This is brilliant, isn't it?
And in these days, the shop displays were fantastic on some shops. They really went to town on the Johnny Massives. Would have been a big seller, despite the fact it's pop going on. That these were the people that were making the money, really.
You're saying it's the easy listening.
Yeah,
really made the money.
Well, it made a lot of money. Yeah, a lot for record shop sales. Easy listening is big business.
But can we go to another
slide? Orchestra sound over there.
Yeah. Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett.
I mean, the whole easy listening scene here, the jet plane and going off to tropical places.
So when did they do washing machines with records? I couldn't.
Well, there were shops that people who had businesses decided that as well as selling electrical goods, we can sell records. It's the same with bicycles and things like that. They sold 78 record players and radiograms and whatever. So a lot of people put them together. But then later on, they became more independent, and you've got people like this who were the sort of the people who did all this before Virgins and before
Branson.
Those people.
But this live performance stuff as well. I mean, that's a big part of Record Store Day. They have live act.
Yeah, but in-house promotion was a big thing. All the stores, all the artists went there and they promoted themselves. They wouldn't do that so much now, but
and a big thing as well to go and listen. If you didn't, you could have a listen.
And you do sign-ins as well and stuff like that.
We go for another image because then some celebrity shots.
There's another bag.
So this is again. They actually had a nice run of different styles of bags and designs. This is a more later one. They had one like this with Tube Map on it, and it had all the stores they had around London because they had stores. They eventually had stores in Golders Green and in Kings Road, blah blah blah.
Kings Road, Victoria Street.
Yeah.
Right. Can we go on to another one? All right. So that's Tony Bennett
again
with Alex Strickland
and a bottle of Moet.
With a bottle of mild champagne down there and an aeroplane. It's a bit like what they do now on people selling stuff on the internet. It's the same selling the highlights. It might have changed really. Just
They look well categorized. About that.
Okay, go on.
Another one, please.
Who we got? Oh, well, it's Bob Dylan, yeah.
Dylan.
So that would have been the period, I think, when he was stuck here because of the winter. I think it was a bad winter and he couldn't get home, so that's why he was here for a while. Apart from playing the folk club stuff, doing the Bow Bell thing.
Did we do some play or something on BBC?
I
Weird.
don't
Not sure.
Can we know about that?
When he was stuck here, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a great job. And
Thank you very much. Well, we're here every Tuesday, History Club, and it's nice to have a theme. But this is it's great. We tied this one in the record store because it's a huge part of history. But that 1890s, that's when did it get invented? Vinyl. Does that put you on the spot?
well, the first 45, I think,
Well, it was Shellac.
75 years ago.
Is it Shellac?
Now, the first one, but the first record was on printed. Pressed, I can't recall, but it would have been way before the 1920s. So
Because we go back with the Soho History Club. We usually go back as far we like the early 1700s.
We like 18th century.
We like 18th century because of all the Georgian stuff, and Dan, who's regularly with us, is a sort of bit of an expert on that. So this is really like modern history section.
yeah,
But it's great to talk about, as you mentioned, like DJs with the record bags of the 2000s and the 90s, because that's also that is history now, right?
but
here is the vinyl that I just tried to get it. Those that it's really too long to add the slides a lot. So I did they used to take, and by trying to find space to go out, I used to totally stolen it. And that is why it's 70, finding out. So, and the exploit in that there was like one to really love and how to do on the media, so it at the song. I can give up that happened that they were out and like a lot of things that so the HMP and like that. Then how fight can you would read us to you thought I'm probably with saying that all the final top thinking.
Yeah, it's specialised.
Yeah. And I need to get a board. And the Mike America like that. So I had a mental about me, but I just have really fond memory of.
well, Golden Disc did it.
Golden Disc will be on Leon's website. And did they expand Leon? They just have the one.
I can't recall this. I mean, I've like the thousands of shops.
So enough. Bible you need more, mate.
Again, I'm not a believer of the hype about vinyl either. I archive.
No, that's not. Yeah, you're all about the archive.
It's about the dubbing and the music for me. It's not about. But
What got you into it though, Leon?
well, the other thing I wanted to bring up, which this gentleman did actually sort of remind me of something. A lot of these shops, in terms of when it comes to imports and stuff, traded with each other.
Right.
So Golden Disc might have got stuff from somebody they knew in Soho, or someone they knew someone else who imported records. So, for example, Woolworths were a massive importer in the 70s and the 80s of stuff. So, and you had record shop owners going to other shops and see what they had. So, or you had scams going on where they actually, say, for example, would go around in one small town and buy up all the new releases that day.
Right.
So they're the only shop that was selling it, So there are all sorts of things going on in a little bit of skullduggery. Yeah. But he would have grown up in that era in terms of the old record shops with the 78s and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So, everybody was steeped in do with in some way, maybe if they were interested. So there is a link to it all, although he might not have worked in one.
Yeah.
But, he would have grown up probably knowing that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to think how instant things are now compared to the levels people had to go to get this piece of music.
I mean, you ever think about someone like Rooney?
Let's do some more image.
He was from a Jewish family, and a lot of Jewish families were in the business of selling records, and having labels and stuff.
So was not here. It's the first person to bring over Sonny.
Yeah,
Maniac. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I think you recognise this lady. This is Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt. Some people might remember.
Yeah.
Batman as well.
And she's holding her album, which is great. So really good.
Then another one. Do we know who she's with?
That's Alex Strickland.
Alex Strickland.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's Frank Sinatra.
Alex Strickland.
Do you reckon that's a Kyle?
No, it's a Photoshop.
Is that a deep fake?
Well, there's the family actually have a cutout of Alex Strickland, which I never got to see, but
We wanted that for the exhibition.
he wanted it for the exhibition we had. But I it was still good though. We had plenty of stuff, and the family came good. His wife came, and the people was really good.
So it was our thumbs up from the family.
Yeah.
Was Johnny Mathis. You go, no, it's Johnny Mathis. No, it's Larry Fishburne. It's like Little Richard. Yeah. Another one.
Yeah, we're just going to rattle through some of these great images.
Oh, that's Jack Jones. Jack Jones, yeah, on my own. My Jack Jones. Oh, Nita Harris, Tony.
That's the one I could. Yeah. There's a few there actually.
Yep, okay. That's the 60s done. Ah, there's a specialist. There's a specialist shop, yeah.
So where was Groovy Records?
They were in
the map.
Greek Street.
Greek
Like
Street.
corner,
Yeah.
with corner Greek Street and what's the street? Old Compton,
Bateman. Greek and Bateman.
So this has an interesting history because the little old lady at the back there, used to do the knitting in the shop, and she knew everything they needed to know about soul and where groove and that kind of stuff they were selling. She was really very knowledgeable. I don't think she had any interest in it really, but she knew her stuff. The guy on the right, if I understand actually, is the guy who used to write for the Black Music Press publication back in the 70s called Black Music. There might be the other one, Blues and Soul. I can't remember which. I can't remember the name of the guy in the middle. I think he might have been one of them too as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, but that image I found just before we did the Soho exhibition, so it kind of was a late entry.
Chris Long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but a shop fondly remembered, a lot of comment about it, and a lot of people went there and learned their craft and found out about stuff they'd never heard of.
Through breath. You've got to the pot. Yeah. In America, the model is working for time. I'll be able to bring that to time to American for over years. So 16, I think the time I think. Look at it. That who go to a lot and make things like my install stuff and American part and leave that in the
boom. As you can see, they were featuring imports in the front. So, yeah, it was one of those. There was several shops like one of those that was really,
Known for it. Yeah.
known for it.
Mate, we see what else we've got image-wise. Another bag.
So they're in Berwick Street, yeah. So obviously we can't cover off the shops that were here, yeah. But back in the 80s, that was a bit of a heyday, really, wasn't it? Well, the indie.
Little Soho fact for you. The start of Soho phone numbers, 020-7439. That's the Soho code. And it comes from the Gerrard Street, because from the exchange, which is now China Exchange. GER, if you type it in Keeper. That's nothing to do with records.
So this is one of the shops that still exists and has a strong label and has produced lots of really good stuff.
Ingress to place.
Reggae, particularly.
A bit hidden away if you don't know where it is.
Yeah, but those in the
There's only 7 shops now, so
I think that's what they mean.
it sounds of the universe, yeah. Broadwick Street.
Warren, who was a BBC thing on that hospital, she said that there's 7, and yeah, of course we can name them. Of course we can.
Yeah.
There's
Sounds of the Universe.
Sister Ray
in Berwick Street.
Sound of the Universe. Phonica on Poland Street. That's 4. I'd need the big map. I'm not a big. I'm not a big Reckless. Anyone else want to help us out? 2 more to get.
Well, HMV.
HMV is now out of Soho
Yeah.
because it's on Oxford Street, but it's west of the Soho border.
No, they gone. They were
Yeah. Welcome. No,
I'd say there's so many.
we've got another 10 minutes to think that one through. But we've got 5 out of 7, which is pretty good. Okay, let's see some more imagery.
What's next?
I mean, the bags really double up as promo.
Oh,
right?
Ray's in
Shaftesbury out.
It's foils now. They
Foils
are
are
around. Yeah.
Do we count that? Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
What's the one on Berwick Street, north of Broadwick? That one. There's another one there. There is.
On Berwick,
Near that.
Broadway.
Yeah.
Well, Ray's is a really good shop as well. They had a basement too, which people like Charlie Watts, the Rolling Stones, used to go to, and of course the Garth's book he did on the Going for Soul, the featured photograph with what's the name, Bjork on it. It's in Ray's jazz shop. A great photograph.
Got that on that. We'll cut that through later.
Yeah.
Now we editing. Great.
So
I'm picking up on the phone.
Again, they were
This is old.
bells. They were linked to everybody. They knew everybody. They were all part of the whole scene, and the jazz scene of Soho, which still kind of lives on in through the Spice of Life pub here. Live music.
Ray, the cat looks angry. But I'm looking at the phone number. This is older than the old Gerard Exchange, because this is when it was 01.
They even had a van. There's the cat on and Ray's jazz shop, little van to drive around and pick up their stuff.
But yeah, that was the thing I noticed on the Saturday, the bag. So, it's a real promo, isn't it? The bag is a big part. So that's another
big thing. People do collect ephemera, they really do. Thankfully, they do, because it's a great record. So, does anybody remember the old Tower Records in Piccadilly, which had a brilliant? I mean, it really was great. I mean, it had so many floors, loads of world music, every some genre you could think of, really, couldn't you? It really was. I've spent hours in that. Anyway, sorry, moving on.
I'm just going to rattle through
we'll move on.
Rattle through the last few shots.
Oh, these are just some of the best record shops, but a lot of them are in Soho.
The Independent.
Yeah. Mr. Bongo. Footballs are good.
But it's off the borders of Soho, you see. Yeah. No, FOP is down on Shaftesbury, but it's further
Covent Garden.
It's gone into Covent Garden by then. But we like FOP. There's a picture of FOP behind me, behind Tony.
Got Mr. Bongo mentioned here, who were at 44 Poland Street. See? Oh, yeah, I'll see that from here.
But our friends Rough Trade we mentioned already.
Black Market, one of the
is that considered a
dance shops? Really,
Selected Disc.
Selected Disc were still there then.
They've got a great name. They've done it as all one word, which I like.
Yeah, I actually went to the original Nottingham one back in your day.
Can
you can flick to another.
Although just rattle through, please rattle through.
Cheapo.
Cheapo.
So this was a shop that had a miserable, what's the word? Staffing, and very curt.
Okay.
But you can find some really good stuff in there, and so they had a lot of cutout with deletion. So the cover was cut or the hole stuck in it. It was the cutout, and they were even cheaper.
What you get also is all the journalists, all the music paper journalists, bringing all the stuff they've been given and knocking them out to them. They had a long life, 72 to 2009, just not a bad chunk. Does anyone remember Jack, Irish, really tall Irish guy who used to always wear black?
Do you know,
black leather pants?
Maybe.
I talked out with one of the staff not long ago, but I couldn't remember Aidan, because I found out he worked there, so I kind of don't remember him, but I know he was there. But,
I mean, the other thing,
and they were in Rupert Street.
It's a really interesting point, Tony, because 40 years as a shop is a great lifespan. I think sometimes shops close. They close for so many reasons, and it's easy to go, oh, it's because of rent going up.
I think they sometimes tired.
Sometimes people just want to close the shop, and I think that's if you've had a good dinner.
I mean, that section of Soho there, that street, there was a shop across the road from it. It was a really good shop in Rupert Street. There was one on the corner as well, just before you get to the
You also had the little stall.
Yeah, he had a little stall outside. It was, literally you could sort of take 2 steps and you'd be in another record shop.
Was that Steve? Steve?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the shop. They got obviously. I had one of records. I can't remember what it came after that. But these were shops that I've.
Was it a few minutes to run through?
Cool.
Daddy Cool. Okay.
And what's his name? Keith Stone, who was involved in that and set it up, who just recently died. So
Very near us here, 94, Dean Street. He just recently died.
yeah.
Do another one of those, please.
Can I have Black Market?
Okay, Black Market.
As you can see here, it specialised in house and hip hop.
And this is a cityscape of
Yeah.
not Soho. Next, please. Oh, was it? Oh, well, I mean, it could be Soho, but I don't think it.
Oh, there's Musicland where I said Elton John played, didn't he?
Worked.
He worked rather. Yes, you might.
Talking of the car park at Brewer Street, do you know that it has the longest ramp of any car park in the UK?
It's about the Deco
Yeah,
building.
that's why it's listed. Apparently, they can't be messed with because the ramp in is longer than any other car. I only learned that recently. Good fact. So we're on Knoll Street and Berwick Street here.
Yeah, so that's Musicland where I said Elton John
That's where.
do some Saturdays.
Did you say Bowie worked in a record shop as well, or have I made that up?
No, he went. No, he didn't work. He went to record shops, especially Dobell's and HMV and stuff like that, and talked about them. So he was good at recording
Ambassador.
what albums he bought and what kind of music he was into.
Okay.
And although he started that, searching and digging around in Bromley originally.
Right. Okay.
All right. Danny Baker worked at one.
Danny Baker.
stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
White Stop.
Yeah. And there's Elton John.
There's Elton with his Beatles.
But the thing is, he was doing this when he was actually a name already. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't a superstar, but
But it was, yeah.
he had taken off,
Okay.
so to speak, rocket name.
Couple more records before we wrap up tonight.
Imhoff's, again, that was a really important store because it was associated with importing American stuff, a lot of it. And the guy who went on to help set up Transit in Lyle Street, which was a really underground place for R&B and soul records here. People like the Stones and all that would go there. And the guy who worked there was involved in the Lyle Street operation, which was importing American 45s. So he learnt his trade there, but worked there. And their customers would have been more well-off people and not the youngsters.
Mm-hmm.
But they were quite key in that. And the guy from Beano's Records recalls back in the day when he went down that road, he looked in the shop window in the display and there's all these Bo Diddley albums. And he had never seen anything like it. So, Bo Diddley with the funny-shaped guitars and stuff. So for the guy who set up Beano's in Beano's, that was in his memory. My God, what is this place? What is this record? What is this guy? What is this music? So, again, they all played their part in that sort of story.
We have another. I think there's one or two more. It's an advert for him off.
Yeah, there's an advert, a bit more graphics. We like graphic art.
It's up the hard.
Bits.
Yeah.
Look at what they covered.
They also did televisions and hi-fis and stuff as well. So they had a whole doing that sort of well.
Couple more. I mean, we've got to.
This is great.
That's Bill Patterson. Yeah. So this is from the exhibition we did in 2015 at Berwick Street.
Unfortunately, the photograph's a bit
It's a bit low res.
But basically, Bill Patterson was featured in a drama series called Oliver's Travels back in the 80s, which also featured Sinead Cusack. I can never pronounce that name. I can pronounce Cusack. And we were doing this exhibition, me and Tony, and then we had several people appear. We had Sonella Fielding, we had other people on that. And he was walking by one day, and I saw him, and I grabbed him and took him in and said, "Do you remember being in the scene where you talk, or where you get this record bag, and it's a Dovell's bag, the one you see there? And there's a scene previous to that where he has this guy talking about Dovell's record shop, and it closing down for a good 30 seconds. For a good, there's a whole bit in this drama. And I couldn't believe it. He was just walking by, so I had to have him. Unfortunately, the picture wasn't very good. But, and also, if I recall, the producer of the series was associated with a record label called Black Line Music, which was a jazz label. So, that his love of jazz sneaked into the drama he was filming, basically. So,
Another one. We got one more. I mean, Blaze. Wait. I spent a lot with her toy boy. Was it? Any more images? Because we're going to have to wind that. And I think more. Oh, well, there's me. That's Soho, George, another high resolution, and Pigal, yeah? We do have better resolution than that. But a lot more. LSU. The first time Maxine and Mandy are shown, it was at this 2015 record store day. They made their debut.
And it's back when Mandy had arms.
No, also the rest.
It
wasn't me. I didn't break her arms.
If you want to see Mandy and Maxine for real, they're in the green room.
You just come at me and I'll make an appointment. Okay, another one. So that's from the exhibition. It was great. It was essentially fun. And that's Garth's book. Something about scaling.
He also does have a book on London record shops,
Yeah.
which is, if you're into record shops and you want to look up the shops that do exist in London still.
And that's it for this show. But I mean, please have a look at the
remind us the website.
British Record Shop Archive.
Google British Record Shop Archive. It's got all.
And watch the space for the map.
And if your record shop's not there, well,
I'll add
anything else.
But we're excited to have a look at the map, go back to the BBC, see if they want it. I think we've got to wind up looking at the clock. Thank you to our live audience. Thanks to Blaze, Eric, Tech, and thank you especially to our guests for coming in after the rescheduled. We'll see you all next week. Thank you.
And if the question just do you want these?
Yeah, we